Well, folks, we made it to season 7. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, Josias Abriel, and published author. Speaking of published author, before the episode starts, make sure to go check out my books. They're available on Amazon, and the link is in the episode description below. Go ahead, get you some healing. One's a poetry book about overcoming pain and trauma and stuff like that, and then the other one's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook. So get you some healing. You're worth it. Another thing that you're worth all the love in the world. You're worth all the healing in the world, and I'm glad that you're here with us today to heal together. You are loved, you are valuable. This is your sign. Alrighty, enjoy the episode. Bye, folks. Okay, folks, I had to start this over because I was recording wrongly. But okay, so folks, we're back for another episode. It is great to be back. So, with us today, we have Neena. And so, I'm sure y'all can tell by the episode title what we'll be discussing. So, we'll be discussing surviving abuse, teen pregnancy, domestic violence, and shame. But before we get into that, let's introduce Neena. So, Neena, welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. It's great to have you.
I've been looking forward to this conversation, so thank you for having me.
De nada. There you go. De
I
nada.
love it. Mm.
So Nina, tell us a little bit about you. What do you do? Any credentials? I heard that you have your own podcast. Tell us which folks it'll be in the episode description below. Be sure to check out any links that Nina sends me will be in the episode description below. We love to support folks, so go and check it out. But yes, Nina, tell us a little bit about you. Let us get to know you.
Okay, so a little bit about me in a nutshell. I am a transformational life and business coach. I'm also a culinary leader, so I help people kind of find their calling and know who they are. And I do a lot of that in different ways. So I do it through my coaching program, and I also do it through culinary. So I have I serve underserved communities and I help them, although they might be having challenges getting employment, whatever, we help them build a culinary background and then we actually help them get jobs in the culinary industry. So that's a little bit of what I do. And yeah, I mean, I've been a woman who's been through some stuff and I use the stuff that I have been through to actually change and transform people's thinking and their lives.
The term alchemy.
I've heard of it. Yep.
Oh, that's exactly what you just said, alchemizing right there. That's a
I love
beautiful,
it.
powerful term. So you have a podcast as well, Nina.
Mhm. Yeah, it's called Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. And it's basically what you're doing here, just bringing real people to talk about real stories that help grow, challenge, and transform our thinking.
Yes.
Mhm.
Awesome. And so, folks, that will be in the episode description below. So you can check that out. Um, okay, well, thank you for sharing, Nina. So let's get into it. Let's just dive right into it. Surviving, well, where did you want to start? Um,
Wherever you want to go, you tell me. I'm an open book.
so let's see. Will can do surviving abuse and domestic violence. Let's start there.
Mm.
Um, and
Oh,
what is your story? What's your journey behind that? Why did we select those topics?
I think that there are topics that people go through and don't talk about. And I think it's a good thing to just be vulnerable and open about that and also help people understand they are not alone, right? So I was a teen mom. I actually had my child at 15 years old, and my son's father was extremely abusive. I was with him for many years. I think I was with him like maybe close to 6 years or so. So domestic violence played a big part in that. It almost ended in my murder, actually.
Mhm.
And being a mom so young, I had to still go to school. I had to make sure I got my high school diploma. I didn't want my child to quit. I didn't want him to be a quitter. So even though I was going through all the things I was going through, I don't know what happened. I think I just felt like every day was a survival day. Like I just had to survive one more day and survive one more day. And that's how I kind of got through all of that. But there's such a big unfortunately a big thing happening now with domestic violence, and you're seeing it all over videos and TikToks and all the stuff. It doesn't seem like it's getting any better. I hope that people talk about it more so it starts to become better. But there's a lot of lonely people out there, men and women. It's not just women. My son, he was in a partnership, and his boyfriend was also very physically abusive.
Mm,
So this happens both ways,
mhm.
and we need to talk about it.
Yes. So, how how hard was it both psychologically and emotionally to um escape, the domestic
Mm,
violence? Because I know um you know, some people would say, why didn't you just leave? It is
mhm,
not that easy. It is so complex. There are a multitude of factors that play a part. So, what were those factors that,
mhm.
because you said you were in it for many of years, what were
Yeah.
those factors? Help us understand because there is this programming out there from society that tries to do very black and white explanations, or excuse me, black and white solutions to very complex situations that are not black and white. So for those of us that have been, programmed or just want to learn, but those of us who've been, programmed to think a black and white easy solution, help
Mhm.
us to understand the
Yeah.
complexities.
Oh man, it is very complex because your emotions are involved, and emotions in itself is a very complex thing. So when you're first going through that, or when the first hit comes, you're actually in a little bit of shock.
Mm,
You know, you're
mhm,
like you're literally I was just standing there in like complete shock. Like, did this just happen? You know? And then the gaslighting starts, right?
mm,
Well, if you didn't do this, this wouldn't have happened. If you wouldn't do this, or they are doing something, but they're blaming you for it. And then you start to think like, am I losing my mind? Right. And that's a lot of what's happening to your point in society today is we are being gaslit
mm,
all the time, right?
mm,
Especially by like mainstream media, social media, the news, all that stuff is constantly brainwashing you and gaslighting you.
mm,
And so you know, now on the other end of it, because it's been many years, I can see it now, but I couldn't see it then. I just thought he loved me and I loved him. And he was my first boyfriend, so he was special.
mhm,
Also the fact that I didn't have a lot of family support. And when you don't feel like you have any support or that you have any value, um, it's very difficult to leave a situation like that. And you also go through the stages of, he's so sorry. He bought you flowers. He's buying you chocolate. Like, this is the gaslighting, right?
yeah,
Your mind is like going and you don't know what to do. Then you start to get into dependency. Right? Like now you're dependent on this person. And especially for women who are a little bit older, like friends that I know have gone through it where their spouses brought home the bacon. Right? So now it's difficult to leave because of that. But for me, it was fear because when I was with him, at least I knew where he was.
mm,
When I was not with him, he popped out of cars, he was popping up behind trees, he was, waiting for me outside of my job. It was a very, very toxic, scary situation. So you almost start to think, how can I keep myself safe? And that's what happens is you start to think about survival. And survival was if I'm with him and I make him happy and I don't upset him and I don't make him mad or we're good, you know? But if I try to leave, he already told me that he will end me. And I believed him.
yeah.
Right? So it's a
By end
very,
you, you
very
mean
toxic.
you mean
Yeah, go
murder?
ahead. Yes, mhm, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Because he almost murdered me a couple times. One of them where he choked me to the point of passing out. Like,
mm,
I don't even remember what happened actually, but one of my friends happened to be running upstairs and found him, and he ran out because he realized he almost choked me to death.
mhm,
Um, But, it was one of those things where when I broke up with him, because 'cause I'm like, "Now I'm gonna be a tough girl, and I'm just gonna break up with him, and I can handle it, and I could change him," and,
Mhm.
all the things. Um, he tried to end me a few times. I mean, there would be times, Josias, when I would lay down in bed and I would wake up and he would be at the foot of my bed. He would break into my house and just stand there at the foot of my bed and watch me. Like, that's scary
Yeah.
stuff, you know? And when we get scared, I mean, women, men, it doesn't matter. We just get scared and we make excuses.
Mhm.
He didn't mean it. He's so good to me when he's not toxic or trying to kill me,
Mhm.
like,
Right.
you really start to make excuses. Please don't judge people that don't leave.
Mm.
They don't leave for multitude of reasons, multitude. And a lot of it starts from within them. They already don't feel worthy. And so this person is just completely brainwashed them at this point, gaslighting them at this point, and there's a lot of fear involved, like tumultuous fear, Josiah. So
Mhm.
that's like a little bit of it, but there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down in this.
Mhm. And I love that she had mentioned, you know, the well, but when he's not being toxic, he's good to me, and
Mhm,
things of that nature. And you mentioned the survival mechanism and things like that. That reminds me
mhm,
of I'm sure people heard fight or flight, but
mhm,
there's more F's. There's fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and I think there's a few other F's. But what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, was kind of like what is called fawning, which is
mhm,
a survival mechanism when we're in great trauma. We, see the good in it,
mhm,
and we feel. I don't know how to fully explain fawning, just because I'm new to that word,
mhm.
but a lot of what you said sounded like that survival mechanism, right? Of
Right, right.
fawning, and I love that you had mentioned the word survival, because that, yeah, like when someone's trying to survive, they're doing what they have to do, or doing what they feel like they need to do in order to keep surviving,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that you also mentioned, like, don't judge someone who's staying, because, like, on the outside, not being inside the person, not being in the house, not, being with the person who's standing at the end of the bed or popping out
Mm,
behind trees, when you're not in that situation, you really don't know, like,
you
how
really
you'll
don't.
actually respond exactly. Like,
Yeah,
you may have an
yeah,
idea, which is, you're in that privileged position to think, oh, this is how I would handle it, but you really just don't know. And so thank you for giving us um the gray in it, the
mm, mm,
complexities in it. And another thing that I like that you mentioned, um was that there could be even more reasons, someone stays.
yeah,
For example, in middle school, I forgot what someone had told me, and it just changed all that programming that I was taught, that black and white programming. It
yeah,
changed it, when they said, let's say, and they used the example of a husband and a wife that has kids, but the husband's abusive. If she leaves, she has nowhere to go.
mhm,
If she
mhm,
leaves, she's gonna be homeless. And is that worse, or is that better? How do you know? If she leaves, what about the kids?
mhm,
Could she take the kids with them? Or she's not making enough, and he's making all of this money to, to keep
mhm,
the roof over the head. Or he's good to the kids, and she doesn't want him to be without the father. So they use that example, and I really loved, at that time, that example, because it paints a a bigger, more complex reality that
yeah,
actually does exist. And it taught me, though, this can happen the other way around. It can happen, in trans relationships or same sex. It doesn't, like, it can happen. And I love that you mentioned that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yes. But what that example taught me at that time in my life was that there's always so much more to the story. Do not
Yeah.
judge, just listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know, you talking about fawning, right? And
Mhm.
the thing is like you start to abandon your own needs.
Mhm.
You start to abandon your own boundaries,
Mhm.
right? Because you want to make sure that you're keeping the peace, which is where I was.
Mhm.
Right? I wanted to make sure that there was some sort of peace, that there was no conflict, that 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 he would approve, those kind of things. And you just want to live another day. You're just trying to make it one more day until you can figure it out.
Mhm.
And when you have kids, it's even more complex,
Mhm.
So and you mentioned, same sex and trans and all, they also have a lot of emotional issues they're going through
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
And when they find that person that can maybe connect with that same feeling or those communities or whatever, it's very difficult because now they're ingrained in that. And so their emotions are tied up into all of it. Well, this person understands me, right? This
Mhm.
person gets where I'm coming from, and that all plays a part. And I don't know. I really believe that people who are abusers, they know how to look for the person who will be abused.
Oh my gosh, yes. What's up with that?
They
Yeah.
just have spidey senses.
Yeah.
They just have spidey senses,
Yep.
me and my son used to laugh. My son is gay, right? So we
Mhm.
used to laugh all the time, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's a handsome boy over there." He's like, "Mom, he's not gay." I said, "How do you know?" He goes, "Mom, it's a gaydar thing."
Oh, yeah, that's real. That's
We
real.
just that is
That's
so funny.
that's
But I
real.
think it's the same thing with these really sadistic,
Mhm.
narcissistic people. Like they say, "Oh, wait a minute, I can control him or her,
Mhm.
or I can do this, or I can do that, or this person might take it." There's a line that they will cross.
Yeah.
And if you forgive that line, that boundary that you've abandoned,
Mhm.
that's it. That's all they need is that one time.
Yeah.
That one time. And that's the thing, that's the hard part, right? Because the one time is when you're in shock
Mhm.
and you're almost like, "Did this just happen?
Right.
Did he or she mean to call me out my name?
Right. Right.
Did he or she just mean to shove me when they were upset?" And so you start to make excuses. It can't be. It can't be. And then one day it becomes where my son's father was, where I came home from school and he put a gun to my head and he said, "I'm taking you out. I'm going to take the baby and I'm going to take myself." And when he pulled the trigger, the safety on the gun got jammed.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why I'm sitting here with you today. Right?
Yeah.
Because that happened and I was able to calm him down and let him go to sleep, and then when he went to work the next day, I took a garbage bag full of clothes and I took me and my baby,
Mhm.
and we ran to a battered women's shelter,
Yes. Yes. And
you
the
know?
women's shelter, um, what happened from there? Like at the women's shelter, what happened? Did they connect you with resources and things like that? Like what occurred at the
Yeah,
women's
well, I mean,
shelter?
this was a long time ago, so they
Mhm.
basically gave me shelter and a
Yeah.
bed for me and my son,
Mhm.
and he found me though. He found me. Um, and it was very scary, and I was still in school, so I was still, taking my son to they did set me up with putting my son in preschool, which was great. So I was dropping him off at preschool, taking the bus to school, all those things. But this man was relentless, like
Mhm.
relentless. He followed me everywhere I went. I mean, it was just awful. Anyway, yes, they give you resources. They try to help you understand the situation you're in.
Mhm.
For me, they gave me counseling. I was there for a year. And so after about maybe 8 months or so, they saw my resilience and who I was. And I became a women's counselor. Like I started helping women that were coming in after me. And I survived daily by being careful about what was around me, who I was with, and the good thing was he found another woman. So I was so grateful. I was so grateful because I knew that she would occupy
Right.
his mind,
Mhm.
in his space. Because he was almost 18 when he met me and I was only 13, so I was a
Yeah.
baby.
Mhm.
And so he knew he could control, he knew he had
Right.
strength, and he knew. And then I gave him a kid, so then that was really like, he will never leave me
Right.
ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And so it sounded like was there mental illness and trauma going on
Of
within
him?
him
No.
that you know of?
Not that I know of. His family was intact. He had both his mom and dad.
Mhm,
He was very well spoken,
mhm.
um, educated. I don't even know where that came from because even his mom was like, "I don't know who this kid is. I did not raise him to be this way."
Yeah,
You know? He was just that he had an obsession with me that it was out of control,
yeah, yeah.
you know? And I think he tried it with the girl that he had left me for,
Mhm.
or left me, I was so glad. But
Yeah,
anyway, he was with her for a couple years and she was fine. She was happy with him. And then one day she got pregnant and he hit her. So then she's like, I'm out. She
mhm.
she took one time.
Yeah,
She took one time. I was like,
mhm,
"Girl, you're so good." So she one time and she was out of there. And now he's happily married, never hit from what I know, never has been abusive to this woman and has children and all that. So I don't know. I think it was an obsession. I think it was a control thing. I think
mhm,
I was also very strong-headed because I thought I could handle this, which a lot of people come to relationships thinking they can change someone. Y'all can't change nobody.
mhm,
You cannot change them. Please get that out of your head.
mhm,
It is
mhm.
not possible. They need to change themselves,
Yeah,
you know?
like,
And that's something that gets us into a lot of these vulnerable positions because we really think we're strong enough to change someone else, and we are not.
yes. I've been there where I thought I could change
Mm,
someone way back, so
me too.
yes, yes. D so shame, you had mentioned in our pre-meeting of the topic of shame
Yeah.
that nearly silenced you. Did that have
Mhm,
anything to
mhm.
do with this situation or another situation? But what did that journey look like and how did shame almost silence you and how did you overcome?
Yeah. You know, I well, shame started for me very young,
Mhm.
very, very young. And the way shame came into my life is I had my father never claimed me as a child. He just never claimed me. So I didn't really know him. But my stepfather, who came into my life when I was very young, I loved, and he was like he was my father because that's all I knew. Well, he started molesting me at about 6 years old. And so shame played a ginormous part because
Yes.
when I was a child, I told my mother because I didn't like the way that felt, right? So I was
Right.
very like, I don't want to play this game, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I told my mom, I said, Mom, he did this to me. And my mom got down to my face and told me to shut up and stop lying. And it almost felt like, I don't know if you've ever had like an outer body type of experience when something just hurts you or shocks you to the core where you're
Mhm.
just
The core.
yeah, like the core,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt as a little girl. When
Yes.
I told her and she said that to me,
Mhm.
I almost felt like my whole world shattered
Yeah.
and I didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know what to do. I was
Yeah.
6 years old. What the hell do I do at
Right.
6 years old with this
Exactly.
information?" Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where shame started for me.
Yeah.
It almost ended me. It
Yeah.
silenced me. It convinced me that I was not worthy.
Mhm.
It kept me in these cycles of destruction and self-sabotage.
Mhm.
Um, I started to eat a lot of sugar, like going hiding behind the table or under the table, eating spoonfuls of sugar.
Yeah.
I didn't know then that was a survival mode because sugar helps the endorphins and the
Mm.
stuff in your brain. It helps you feel good, like cocaine, right? That's why they
Mm.
say it's very strong. But that's what I did. Shame thrives in secrecy. It thrives in your silence, right?
Yeah.
I call it the enemy's playground,
Yeah.
right? And so that's where it started for me. So not being really, cared for or loved by my mother, at least I didn't feel like I was,
Right.
and being neglected by my real father, being
Yeah.
abused by my stepfather, that's where shame began for me.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was worth anything, and then when my mother didn't want me, she would throw me to my grandparents' house for,
Mhm.
like, a year, and when they didn't want me anymore, they would throw me back, and it was just this cycle of unworthiness,
Worthiness.
and
Yeah. And
shame
that
is
wasn't
a
even your
killer.
fault. Like that stuff was being taught to
Right,
you and shown
right.
to you. Exactly.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Exactly. Mhm.
And shame, as I've grown up and I've dealt with that, I've realized if everyone should know that there to me there's like two types of shame. There's a shame that
Mhm.
you should be ashamed of something, like say I go to your house and I steal something from you. I should be ashamed of myself for doing that. That way I can switch that behavior and never do it again. See, shame is supposed to lead you in a different direction when you do something wrong, right? So if I steal from you, if I hit you, if I do something against you, Josias, right? I
Mm.
should feel ashamed of that behavior and change the behavior.
Right, right.
Okay. Then there's the shame that somebody else did something to you and you've taken it on as if it's your shame. And
Mhm.
that is not your shame. That was my stepfather. Shame on him,
Mhm.
not shame on me.
Mhm.
But when you're little and somebody tells you to shut up and stop lying and somebody's still abusing you,
Right.
I mean,
What do you
like
do?
you're going to
Exactly.
carry that with you as
Yeah.
if it's yours to carry.
Right.
And that's a shame that we do that, but we do.
Yeah.
And it really causes a lot of damage.
Yeah. Exactly. And I can, when you talked about that, it was kind of like when you said it was kind of like a shock to where it's like you were outside of it felt like
Yeah.
outer body, even though you're still in your body, but it felt like
Mhm.
so out of work. I know that feeling because my mother as well invalidated and yeah, I mean, it was like when I mentioned that I was being sexually abused, I mean, it was that being invalidated by the person that like I opened up to, and the
Mhm.
person that I just instinctively know is supposed to love me, is supposed to support me, showed me the opposite, showed me
Same.
unworthiness,
Mhm.
started more of the shame cycle for me.
Mhm.
And 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 that carries that relationship, that type of mother betrayal to that extent on a child,
Mhm.
like that is not something that goes away in the snap of a
No.
finger, if it even goes away. I don't know. I haven't met someone that it's went away from. It's
Mhm.
sure not gone away for me. Of course I have tried to, not her, but I have tried to rebuild her and I relationship. You
Mhm.
know, it was not going to be, it was not meant to be. And I learned the hard way, but it was that cycle of and also being shown by family as well, like unworthiness, like
Mhm.
I was unworthy, and it's just like when that happens to a child, and I am not a fan. I get why people kind of place, I just hate it though. But okay, let me say this. So if someone tells the child who's been abused or been invalidated, all of that horrible stuff, and the child goes their life feeling unworthy and they turn into an adult, and then someone comes along and says, well, you can't think like that, and I just want to tell them so bad, well, guess what, like, it is not that easy. That is not how that works.
That's correct.
That is not fair to that person, especially to their inner child,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
I get that they're trying to help in a way, but it's like it's so invalidating to the complexities,
Yeah.
as if even it's kind of like it's trying to place the burden on the person who it happened to. It's trying to place the burden on the victim, or the survivor. It's trying to place that burden on them, that it's their fault, they have to fix it, which it can be our responsibility, but it's not our fault though.
Right,
Like
right.
it's
Well, it's
not our,
ours. I think it's our responsibility just to heal, but
yeah,
it
that's our
takes time.
responsibility.
Yeah, it takes time to
It
heal.
takes
And
time.
let's be real. It's a lifelong
A lifelong.
process.
Mm-hmm.
I have been dealing with healing
Mm-hmm.
from this for centuries, it feels like, right? And the truth is yes, you're right. And I think people do that. So I give them grace because I
Yeah.
realize that people do that because it's a very uncomfortable thing to talk about.
Right.
And especially for people who haven't been there, done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, because not everybody has had the trauma that you and I have had, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
try to give them grace with that because I understand, but
Mm-hmm.
I understand your point as well. Like, I think sometimes just listen and stop giving advice. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes somebody just needs to tell you what they're going through or feeling. And then if you can say something that's encouraging, great. If you can't, don't.
Right.
Um,
Mhm.
pretty much. But I am, I have to say on the other side of it now, right?
Mhm.
I'm very grateful that I went through those things I went through because I have helped so many people get through their things. And I don't ever wanna go through it again, so it's not one of those things that, like, would you repeat it? No,
Right, right,
no.
right.
But since I already went through it, I'm grateful because I believe that our lives and what you're doing right now with your podcast and all of that is to impact the lives of others, and it's
Mhm.
to show them they're not alone and to take our traumas and our tragedies and to help someone else get through theirs.
Yeah.
I really believe that, and, it's a shame on my mom, on your mom, and that they couldn't be better,
Right,
you know?
right.
But at the same time, that they gave us what they have, and if that's all they got, that's all they got, you
Mhm.
know? What are we
Yes.
gonna do?
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it.
Right. Right, right, right. So, how did you overcome the or it can be a journey, so maybe you're still overcoming, so forgive me for assuming.
No, not at all.
How did you overcome slash overcoming? Because I do think within the journey there are multiple like overcomings that we do,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know? So
100%.
yeah, so but how did you what did the journey of overcoming that look like for you or
I
looks like?
started yeah, you're right, it is a lifelong journey. I think it's something that
Mhm,
we're gonna have to keep growing and expanding on, but what was for me is that well, first of all, faith plays a big part in my life. I believe in God, and it plays a big part, and, that's helped me heal throughout my adult life, and, I realized that my story it is my story. Like it may not change, but how I define it or how I allow it to define me can change. Right. So I don't have to be the victim of molestation. I could be the survivor of molestation who now takes that power
mhm,
and helps someone else. So you take your story and it doesn't have to be like this tragic thing. It could just be like, that is my story. That is my story. It
yeah,
is what it is. I'm not going to be able to change it, but I can redefine it. I
mhm,
can redefine it. And so I redefine the things that have happened to me as the things that have made me the most powerful woman I am today, right? Not many things can knock me down. It takes a lot. And it takes a lot because I've been through
yeah,
and I've built muscle and I've built strength and I've built grit and I've built tenacity,
mhm,
right? And because of those things, yes, there's some days I want to just stay in the bed with the blanket over my head and not come outside. Yes, of course. Those are going to happen. But I also know that I am built for more. And I also know that I need to heal it to feel it to heal it. So there's a lot of things in life you have got to feel. You got to stop ignoring stuff. It comes up for a reason because your body's saying, I want out. I want out. So go ahead and sit with it, feel it, cry through it, hit something, throw something, do whatever you got to do. It's okay. Feel it.
yeah,
But then you can heal it. Just start to redefine it. All right, what am I supposed to learn from this?
yeah,
Why did this happen to me? How do I get to use this now for something better?
yes,
Right? Because I cannot allow my mom, my stepfather, my family, my ex, all of those people to control my future.
yeah,
They've already done enough for the past. Now I'm going to use whatever I got because Nina is still the same person throughout all of those situations. Now I have to look at all of that and say, how do I take my freaking power back? And the way I do that is by redefining what you thought you were going to do to me to destroy me.
yeah. Can you repeat that last part again? It muffled.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said that I'm not gonna allow people to have that power over me and what they thought that they can use to destroy me. No, I change that whole thing.
Right.
Now I'm gonna do whatever you thought you were going to use to destroy me for the good of others and
Mhm,
for the good of my life.
right.
You're not gonna tell me what I can and cannot do anymore. That's done.
Right, right, and I love that theme of, yeah, my story does not have to end here.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
does not have to end there.
I thought it should, right? Because back in
Yeah,
the day, I had suicidal ideologies.
yeah, yeah. No, no,
Yeah, I had that kind of stuff.
I meant more so like, but yes, same. No, but I meant more so like, the redefining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
like it
Yeah. You
yeah.
have to redefine it. Define it for you. Shoot.
Mhm.
We got one life. What are we doing? Redefine whatever it is you want to redefine. Look at your situation because it is what it is.
Mhm.
We cannot change the past, but from today on, you can change tomorrow. You can change
Mhm.
today. Let's just do it.
Mhm.
And sometimes we need support though, Josiah's right. Like I had to go through
Of course.
therapy. I had coaches, and I still have coaches. You
Yeah.
you need somebody though. Find an ally, even if it's just one. Find one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. The support
Hmm.
is necessary, yes. Like, I've came so far, but could not come this far on my own.
Same.
Like,
Yeah.
I may have did a lot on my own. I may have did more than I would like to on my own, but gotten far, you know, um, with others, not by
Hmm.
myself.
Hmm.
So, I love that you mentioned. I also love that you mentioned, feel to heal. Like, I used to say that in the earlier seasons and in my poetry book. I used to say, I had to feel in order to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so yes, I had to feel to heal because, like you said, like your body, it's signaling you that something needs out.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
needs out because keeping it
Hmm.
in, it's gonna turn, it can turn a little dangerous and
Hmm.
a lot of dangerous. It can turn
A lot of
dangerous.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah. So
And don't be
um,
alone, like,
yeah,
don't seclude yourself,
right,
like, a lot of times when we are going through maybe a day or so, you may want to not deal with people because 'cause I've been there,
right, right.
but don't seclude yourself, like, make sure you still reach out to someone when you're feeling that way because somebody might have that right word you need, just that hug you need, something. But
Yeah,
don't stay by yourself.
yeah.
Don't do it. It's not. It's I like I said, I call it the devil's playground. I think
Mhm,
that's the place where the enemy comes in and just tries to mess with your head. Oh, you're not
mhm,
good enough. You're not worthy enough. Why are we here today? What are we
mhm.
doing? Blah blah blah. All the things. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. And I also like that you had mentioned like for example, like the suicidal ideations, which is very common
Yeah.
within those of us who have, been sexually abused.
Hmm.
Um that seems to be like a um very common theme.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes, yes. So I like that you had mentioned that because I just had an episode an hour or two ago about, suicide and things like that. And I mentioned
Mm,
how, like a, oftentimes like suicide is correlated with abuse.
mm-hmm.
It's not saying that like, okay, folks, to clarify, what I meant by that was saying like abuse, affects the mind, the brain, and the body, and can lead to suicidal ideations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
correlation, and so like for example, like in the episode was called basically. Well, I'm going to call the episode. I haven't released it yet. I'm going to release it tonight. As with your episode, I'm going to release your episode tonight.
Oh.
Um, um, it's called like conversations we're afraid to talk about.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, and of course suicide totally came up because like for me my journey suicide is very like I don't mention my journey without mentioning suicide. Like suicide
Mm-hmm.
has or like suicidal thoughts, suicide attempts, suicide completion. I had one suicide completion. um I
Wow.
call it almost dying saved my life. And I
Mm,
say almost dying because I got brought back to life by being on the other side. Some call it heaven, I call it eternity or the other side just because it was so vast and amazing. But I got brought back um not by doctors but by someone on the other side.
mhm,
Um
mhm,
and so yes. So I forgot the point that I was gonna have,
Well, we're
Nina.
talking about suicidal ideations, right? And,
Oh yeah, that it's
yeah,
it's totally like a part. It needs to be talked about more. Like that
yeah,
has so much stigma. Like suicidal ideations are, you know, a symptom oftentimes of some type of mental illness or some type of bodily distress within you, because our
mhm,
nervous system, folks, is our second
mhm,
brain. The body does
mhm,
keep score. It's not
mhm.
just our brain that keeps score, our body keeps score as
So true.
well. And so it needs to be talked about. It's an illness, it's a disease, and just like cancer is an illness or disease, we talk about that and we tell someone, go get treatment. I'm here for you. You call me if you need. But when it comes to mental illness, when it comes to suicide, it's a different conversation a lot. And so
Yeah,
I love that you had mentioned even the word, saying the word, I think is very just huge. Because I'm like, it starts somewhere. And I love that you mentioned it as part of your story, because like you said, like this is part of your story,
yeah.
and it needs to be talked about more, especially because like someone listening right now could have never experienced suicidal thoughts, but things could change in 2 3 years. But because of what you said today, and trust me, I was there, like I didn't um I was abused my whole childhood in multiple ways, all by men. However, the only abuse I suffered was from my mother for knowing that some of it was, she didn't know all of it, but she
Mm,
knew
mm,
some of the abuse was happening and she let it. She didn't know the sexual abuse, but she knew the other abuse was happening. But, so I learned recently that that is also a type of abuse. I always talked about it and went to therapy and still go to therapy, but went to therapy and talked about it, but I never labeled it as a type of abuse until recently.
mm.
And by recently I mean maybe 2 years ago. I was like, wow, that was also a type of abuse. The
The
abuse.
neglect almost.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It is part of the neglect
yeah, yeah.
realm. But yeah, I love that you had mentioned that as, part of your story, because um, it is something that needs to be talked about more. And I was definitely one of the people where, though I went through all that abuse, mental illness, and all that other stuff didn't really start making impact until um, I was 14.
Mm,
Like I would say 13, small, but I mean small. Not enough for me to be concerned, and one, I didn't even know what was happening to my body. I didn't know anything about mental illness. I didn't even know that was a word until I was 16,
mhm, mhm.
and so but then all of a sudden everything just started crashing in my mind, in my body. But it was already there though, and so
Yeah,
that's why yes, exactly. So that's why I'm such an advocate for, like, if there has been childhood trauma and you might not have seen any or noticed any symptoms now, I'm like, if you can, I always encourage people to get help. There are free resources out there as well. And in the episode that I'm going to release today about the conversations, there's numbers and websites to free resources for not
oh,
just
great.
America, but in multiple countries. But yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
very important, because someone could be fine now, but in 2 3 years, what happened at 3 4 5 years old is going to
Ain't that the truth?
pop.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes. So I
Yeah.
applaud you. You have no idea. Like, I'm tearing up right now. You can't see it because I'm wearing glasses. But I want you to know how much you even just mentioning that means, not just to me, but I'm sure to others as well. Because this is something I'm really passionate about, but it's not talked about enough.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah. No, it's not because
Mhm.
it's something and I don't know why we don't talk about it. Actually, suicide has gone up exponentially, especially in men.
Mhm.
Like that's a report that just recently came out. Like for men, it's high, very high,
Yeah, they make up
you know?
76% of suicides in
That
America,
is
even though there's more women
insane.
than men in America.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, in Canada, they actually legalized it now, so you can actually go and get assisted suicide and just Take
Mhm.
your life because you want to. And at first, it was supposed to be for medical, for people who were, like, dying and they wanted to die on their own terms,
Mm,
but now it's become open to anybody. So there's people just young as can be, just taking their life, right?
mhm,
And it's like, I'm grateful, that to God that I didn't succeed. I
mhm,
drank a whole bottle of pills, all the kind of things that, all the I wanted to cut my wrist, like the whole thing, right? But I'm glad I didn't succeed because I wouldn't have lived the life that I live now, and I wouldn't have had my second child, and I wouldn't have, like I wouldn't have had all the things that I have
mhm.
had in my life, the good and the bad, because there's been bad too.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm grateful for experience. I'm grateful for the life experience because when I do pass away, whenever that's supposed to be, it could be today, tomorrow, it could be years from now, I don't know.
Mhm.
But whenever it is, I want to try to impact as many beautiful lives as I can while I'm here,
Yeah.
you know?
I
So I'm
love
grateful.
that. I love that. Nina, thank you for providing love and light to this world, especially when
Thank
we
you.
really need it. You know, um, folks, I do want to mention, when I mentioned the statistics, when I said there's more women born in America than men, I do want to recognize the intersex community. Those are folks who, like myself, were born either both or neither, who were like genetically born both, whether it's physical genitalia, hormones, chromosomes. There are folks, millions of people that are born either both male and female, they have both sex, or they're born neither. The thing is, though, it's not taught about, and we also look either like male or female. Most intersex people look female, but I wanted to, folks, if you're listening and you're intersex, I wanted to know I recognize you. You are important. I just don't know the statistics on intersex. um, I don't know those statistics, but I don't want y'all to feel, like you're not seen or heard. I just don't know those statistics. Um, yes, because intersex is something that's now starting to be talked about more, even though it was
Mhm.
normal throughout majority of human history until modern, recent. Don't get me started on that. But yes, folks, you're heard and you're seen, and I love you. But yes, yeah, within men, within 5 to 10 years, it's projected to be in the 80s.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, that's close to 100%. 76% is close to 100%.
Yeah.
That's close. So I was like,
Yeah.
this stuff needs to be talked about before we
Yeah.
gotta move from being a reactive society to a proactive society, because
Mhm. Mhm.
first world countries, there tends to be a common theme of reactivity rather than proactivity. So folks, if you don't know what those mean, reactivity just means you react when something's too late, and then proactivity means it's just more preventative, like
Mhm.
you act before it's quote unquote too late.
Yeah.
So have y'all ever seen a sign, for example, let's say, um here's let's see, give me something. Um don't eat moldy bread. I don't know, I've never seen a sign like
Mhm.
that, but folks, just think of a sign that you've seen. Don't eat moldy bread. That's probably because someone ate moldy bread, or that's for a
Right.
reason. So
Right.
it had to take someone eating moldy bread for a sign to be made that says don't eat moldy bread. But by the
Right.
time that sign is made, that person that ate it, multiple people that ate it, probably dead, or something had happened. But change happened, but it happened because something had to get worse before it got better. So that's what
Mhm. Mhm.
reactivity is. Proactivity is like, before someone even eats the bread, there's a sign that says don't eat moldy bread, and everyone's healed or not having to get sick from eating moldy bread. So I say those analogies because I know I just recently, and by recently I mean like in the past 5, 6 years, learned what reactivity and proactivity means when it comes to
Mhm. I
society.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're just educating. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's I mean, that's the point of having podcasts like this, right? Is just
Mhm.
talking and educating and having people understand that they are seen and loved and connected, and that these topics are important because they're actually happening in people's lives, like real people having real life
Mhm.
experience. And I think it's really hard right now because we are. See, I'm Gen X, right? So I was here before all the technology stuff,
Mm,
and I had to go outside to play, and there was no video games. Like, we didn't do the things. There was no social media. There was nobody. I didn't care whether you liked me or didn't. Like, it didn't matter because my life was outside playing with my friends.
yeah.
And now it's gotten super tough, and I think that's why the ideation has also gotten super tough because
Mm,
you have cyberbullying now. You have bullying in school. You have like so much information coming at you from so many different resources in so many different ways. And that can overwhelm anyone. I'm an
mhm.
adult and it overwhelms me.
Yeah.
So I can imagine a child who has access to everything, like
Mhm.
everything,
Yeah.
right? And we have to
Mhm.
be careful. There's a lot of not nice people in the world that
Yeah.
are out there on socials and video games and wherever else. And there's great people out there too. But like I said before, you tend to have those people that just know how to really creep on the vulnerable, you
Yes.
know?
There's
And you always
exactly.
got to be super careful.
I like
You got to
that
be
you had
careful.
mentioned that, Nina, because I was reading an article the other day. And mind you, folks, I didn't do like super hard research on this. I just kind of put two and two together, and y'all see what I'll say. But they said kids who are introduced to technology early on, and they used the example of cell phones. They were doing the study and they used cell phones and whatever comes with cell phones, but they just said cell phones, but I'm sure we can imagine what comes with cell phones, social media. um they said that kids, boys were, had a 10% increase in depression, and girls had a
Mhm.
5% increase in depression.
Mhm. Mhm.
um
That's
that
insane.
is a lot, but that was
That's a
just
lot.
in a early
Right.
childhood. Now
Right.
imagine if it's that, I'm sure that percentage will grow as time goes on, and so there
Yeah.
is studies out there though that do say, the decline in social capital is directly linked to technology. Decline in social capital means basically exactly what Nina was saying, playing outside with friends, just community. We have seen that with the introduction of television. um, there was a sharp decline in social capital. So
Yeah.
people are more like on their phones now,
Mhm, mhm.
you can be at a restaurant, everyone's on their phones, so the decline in community, whereas back then, if the cell phones didn't exist, you had to, go outside and play with your friends at school. Like you had to talk to your neighbor, you had to
Mhm, mhm.
make these and foster these connections. So social capital is on a decline, and it's increasingly on a decline, and we see suicide rates on an increase. So
That says something, doesn't it?
yeah, oh,
It it
1000%.
it says something. I mean, it really
Yeah,
does talk about how important communities are
community
and
is.
how important it is to be around others. It's very interesting. And it's like we are more connected now than any century ever, and yet so
Yes.
alone at the same time. We're so connected and not connected. It is just it's just a way to like look at it. It's like, wow, okay, hold on. So I can actually go and follow my friends, see what they're doing, like what their posts are, see what their kids are doing and all that, and yet feel so alone.
Mhm.
So alone. And it's because we are not, I think we need this Josias, but if I was living nearby, I would also want to grab a cup of coffee with you.
Yes.
Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I love doing that. Like sitting
Yes.
across from somebody at a table. I'm starting a new venture called the Purpose Filled Kitchen, and I'm having people there. They've been at my home, and we're cooking a recipe together, and then we're going to the back and talking about life and things going on in life. So you're basically breaking bread and speaking about life because we freaking need
We
it.
need to.
We need
Exactly.
it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget this, and I think this is why I do a lot of what I do because when I was in high school, there was this one girl that was really severely bullied by a lot of guys, a lot of kids. And they, she just had a terrible reputation and they were horrible to her, like horrible. And one day I didn't know her, but I saw her sitting by herself and I'm like, you know what, this isn't right. And so I dropped what I was doing and I went and sat with her. She was sitting on a wall and I sat with her on the floor near the wall. And we just sat there and talked for like ever. She was total opposite of who I was. We were both different from different walks of life. We were just completely different people, but we had a great conversation.
Mhm.
And then we just went our ways. At the end of the year, she comes up to me, we're graduating, and she said, "Can I tell you something?" And I said, "Sure." And she's like, that day that you came to talk to me, I was going to commit suicide. And you talking to me made me not do that. I didn't know that she was
Right.
going to do that, right? It is just about kindness. Kindness is cool, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, just be freaking kind. Come on. Like, what is going on that we have to think that we have to bash people online and be cruel to people and,
Mhm.
act like somebody doesn't exist? When I was talking to you earlier about, the underserved community and how I help them get the culinary skills to go and get jobs and everything. Well, half of my class were trans students. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And they were like, "This is the first time I've ever felt this safe." And I'm like, "That is awesome," right?
Yeah.
Because I want you to feel safe. And some
Right.
of them still to this day, they call me, they text me to see how I'm doing. "Hey, chef, how are you? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This is what I got. I got a job. I got this. I got." That's what I'm talking about. Can we just be kind to one another? Be vulnerable with one another, be real with one another. You don't have to hide who you are. I don't have to hide that I'm a Christian in order
Right.
to be around people that I want to be around.
Right.
Like,
Right.
we need to stop the nonsense,
Yeah.
Josiah. Let's stop separating each other through color, through gender, through
Mhm.
religion, through whatever.
Yeah.
Like, enough of that nonsense.
Right.
For real.
Exactly. We need each other. We
We
need each
do. We
other.
do.
And I hope that I'm wrong, but I hope that well, how about this? I'll say I hope it's more of a proactive thing than a reactive thing
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we need each other. I don't want us to find out when it's too late.
I know. I
And
know.
so, I love my generation. I'm really proud of us in a lot of things. However, and I'm Gen Z, folks. I do have my concerns when it comes to the community and the social capital. Um, what's it gonna take for us to realize that community is important and to act that out, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I hope
yeah.
I am listening to you and I'm thinking to myself, can you imagine if we had like a massive power outage, like
Oh,
something like well, after we lose our minds, because we would all lose our minds, including me, and I'm Gen X, right? We would lose our minds. But in a way, we would have no other choice but to go out and help our communities and try to
yes.
be close to one another. I had a neighbor when we first moved here, older couple. I never cared what color they were, where they voted, who they voted. I didn't
Mhm.
care.
Yeah,
I know that we went over there and we said, "Can we help you with anything?" And we did. We helped them with the garbage and all those
yeah.
things. And they ended up both passing away within a year of us living here.
Mhm,
And because we were kind to them,
mhm.
they actually made us like witnesses, like to their like properties and stuff to
Yeah,
help their families and all that. And we barely knew them, right?
yeah,
But I say all that to say, get out of your own freaking way. Like,
yes,
go out and meet someone else and spend time with someone else and serve your community and just love on one another. And if somebody's hungry, feed them, like that kind of thing.
yeah,
And you will see a much better world that way.
yes,
Could get off the phone, get off the phone.
yes.
We don't need to be like this all day scrolling every 5
Mhm.
minutes. It is not good for your brain anyway. We're
Right,
not built for that.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
yes.
not built.
I love that. Love your neighbor, not leave your neighbor.
Right.
I love that.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, Nina, this has been a fabulous episode. I knew it
Right.
would be. Folks, I like to end with a little challenge. Um, so tell 1 to 2 people, and of course, this can be more. But I also recognize some of us got social anxiety. I get it. So just one to two people, yourself included, folks, um, let one to two people know that they are important.
Amen. Are you asking me?
Oh no, I'm telling
Oh,
the folks,
okay. I'm
the
like, what?
folks. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
let them know. It can be,
Yeah.
yeah, just let them know, and yourself included, folks. Um, so yeah, that's my challenge to y'all. Nina,
Mm.
you are important.
So are you, my friend. So are you. This was a very
Gracias.
thoughtful conversation. Thank you for having me.
Gracias, mi amiga.
De nada, mi amor.
Oh,
De nada.
yes, y'all. I'm working on my Spanish. Y'all know I've been working on it. Okay, folks. Well, this has been another episode of Vulnerability Time. Any links that Nina sends me will be in the episode description below. So please do support Nina. I'm gonna end the recording, but but stay on a couple more seconds after. Okay.
Of
Okay. Bye,
course.
folks. Get on out of here. Love ya.